Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. We review anything and everything. And today I'm just going to get into a quick review of two pretty affordable, very popular knives. You can classify this as EDC, but for the most part, these are probably the best starter knives if someone wanted to get into that space of everyday carry for a knife, or you just wanted to have a knife for like a tool just to kind of have on you, whether it's in the car or whatever you would use it for. I honestly would hands down say, just based on popular opinion, that these two are probably the most popular, best affordable knives you can go for right now in the market. And I'm not a knife person, but I've done a little bit of research, popular opinion, and I wanted to get into the space of purchasing some knives. I had some older ones, but they're so obsolete relative to the new things that, you know, take place in terms of like the technology and the way things are. Not technology as in terms of whatever, but the technology used to innovate and put more craft into knives. Just to give you an idea, this is like an older knife of mine, and you can see how it's so dated when you look at just even the way the screws are just not even the same color as the not color matched with the handle in any way, or not black. The handle itself feels okay for the times, but this is a very old knife, over 20 years ago. It's all right. It has some decent action, but nonetheless, you get the idea that for current times, if you haven't bought a knife in you know, a very long time, or weren't gifted a knife, these ones are very good. So this right here is made by the company Civivi. This is the Mini Praxis. The blade is just under 3 inches, like about 2.98 inches. And then this right here is a very popular knife, the Ozark Trail 7.5 inch folding knife with a D2 blade steel. The Civivi Mini Praxis also has a D2 blade steel. But this is the Civivi is $30 and the Ozark Trail is $10. And they're both different, but I think they're both worth purchasing, even if you can afford to buy both of them at the same time. They're both very popular right now for two different reasons, and I'll get into that. But nonetheless, this one, you can get both of them at Walmart. This one's only sold at Walmart, the Ozark Trail. The Civivi is sold at Walmart and on Amazon. Like I said, link's going to be in the description for this one on Amazon. This one you would have to purchase at Walmart. I do not have an affiliate link, but you can Google it up and look at Walmart. Here are the benefits to both and why these knives are so popular. First off, we will tackle the Ozark Trail. So the Ozark Trail, first off, you could see the design of it is nice, and you've got this this release mechanism here, so it's not even like a liner lock, so that feels a little bit more, to some people might feel a little bit more premium. Hopefully you guys can get a good sight on this. Let me move these things out of the way because I don't want it focusing on these items here in the background. And I'm going to move the Mini Praxis out the way for a second. So the handle feels nice, it's textured. And a lot of people compare this knife to the Benchmade Bug Out, which is a company that Benchmade is the name of the company, and they make knives. And that knife goes for currently like about $180, and it has a very similar design, a very similar layout, very similar features. The same kind of look to it. It has a clip on it. You have the same kind of release mechanism and whatnot. This has a relatively smooth, if you get the nice angle on your thumb, you know, draw. It's not assisted, but there almost is a point where once you release past this point, it's almost like a hump it's got to get over. The rest here, you see how it has that almost like push itself out a little bit. It makes it that once you give a little bit of that release with your thumb, it almost just takes over. So it's very easy, and that's kind of really cool that you have that. But it's not, sometimes if you don't press outwards and you're trying to press more up, you know, you got to kind of get it right. But once you get used to it, you get used to it. I think it looks nice. I like that color contrast of orange with the black, the D2 steel. So the D2 steel is better than, we'll just say standard stainless steel. I don't know all the different types that all other ones use. You have 440 steel, which I believe is less than this. You have, was it 7D 13 or CR 13 something, I don't know, some types that they use on multi-tools, and so this is supposed to be a better steel. Now some people knock it that on this $10 model that this D2 is not necessarily done well, but at the same time I will say that you know, if you take care of a knife and you sharpen it, you treat it well, you don't try to beat it up on purpose, you don't give it tasks that it shouldn't be doing, which is like things that are puncture, like bending the tip and doing anything of that sort. I believe this knife should last you well and can be your regular everyday carry knife or your one and only knife at $10, especially since the fact that it has a lot of higher end features in this budget knife. And it's almost like some people might knock the fact that all those higher end features are not as great, quote unquote, as they could be on other ones, but you still keep in mind for $10 you're getting these higher end features. I'm not a knife expert, but so what I consider to be a little bit higher end features based on not having a modern knife in a long time is that type of release, the easy flick out mechanism, the D2 steel, they say, I think it's a G, I don't know if this is G10, is it called, like as far as the material for the handle, I'm not sure. It doesn't really say it on the box here. You can pause and take a look at that yourself. It's not really specifying any kind of materials on the handle, but nonetheless, you can pause that, read for yourself as well. D2 high carbon for the blade. It's just a good, affordable knife with higher end features that shouldn't be on a $10 knife. And what's funny is that they have other $10 knives at Walmart that don't have all these same features. So it's interesting, that are made from even the same company, Ozark Trail. So that's, I think, why this one was so popular, along with the design. It looks like the Benchmade bug out, which is $180. I'm gonna push this one aside for a second now, and now go to why the Civivi Mini Praxis is also a great buy in its own right. This one's $30, so it's not as affordable. The blade length on this is about 2.98 inches, whereas the Ozark Trail was, it says it on the back here, 3.25 inches. So check with your state to see, or your city to see if what size you're allowed. I think almost any place will allow for a 3-inch blade or under, like just under a 3-inch blade. But once you go 3 inches above, some states or cities might end up having laws that whatever, you know, restrict you. But the feel of this is nice. It's from a very high quality brand. So it's almost like you're getting the most affordable knife to a higher quality company, knife company. So, excuse me, sorry, hiccup. Higher quality knife company, you're getting the most budget version of that, but still nonetheless, it's like you're still getting that quality of that brand. They're not taking away any of their quality just because the knife is less expensive. It just has maybe less higher end features. So for example, this doesn't have that release mechanism here. It has the liner lock mechanism under here, which I'll show you in a moment. But nonetheless, most of their knives have this kind of, I forget the term that this is called, but for lack of a better word, we're going to call it a release knob. Someone can comment down below as far as the correct term, but nonetheless, it allows you to kind of draw it out very fast. And that type of positioning here is a natural movement where it doesn't require you to move your wrist, where this one requires that thumb, and it doesn't require a lot of wrist action, to be honest with you, but it's still not as natural as you doing this. Nonetheless, I'm not saying that to compare the two. I'm just saying Though you do not, this has that as a plus feature, in my opinion, though you do not have the release mechanism that the other one has that I consider would be a higher end feature. This also has a D2 steel blade. This type of, sorry, brain fart, knife clip, this clip is considered a deep carry because it goes up so high, where something like this is not, because if this was in your pocket, you would see the tip of that. And if this was in your pocket, you wouldn't even see the rest of the knife. You would just see that top right here. So, but the quality on this feels very nice. It feels very weighted for its size. You can see the size difference between the two. And the reason why I'm not going to compare them to say one better than the other or not, this is $30, this is $10. I think they serve two different purposes. This one is giving you a lot for the money in terms of the features. This one is giving you a lot in the way of the money in terms of the quality. And I don't think you can go wrong with either one. Like I said, they are different lengths, so you have to be careful in terms of if your area allows you to have the length of this one. I'm pretty sure they'll allow you to have the length of this one. I think this one is a little bit more nicer for like an everyday carry in terms of if you want something nice that you don't really maybe plan on using that much. Maybe you could use it. You could use it. I'm not gonna say maybe you could use it. You could use it, but in the sense that this one I think looks cleaner. It looks like a little bit more. Let me hold it up to the camera a little bit. It's a little bit more like a work of art, in my opinion, for lack of a better word. The quality is very nice. So it has this aspect of it that's very, you know, the craftsmanship on it is very good. And so this is the kind of one where if you held it on you every day, you walked around with it, even the handle feels nice. And if you were to, you know, let someone hold it and say, here, check out my knife, whatever, it's gonna be like, wow, that's a nice knife. It's a nice looking knife, nice quality knife. As like I said, even though it's entry level for Civivi, it's just in general a better knife versus probably most of the Ozark knives that you would find, or all the Ozark knives you would find at Walmart. Just for, not to knock Ozark, but just as an example, there's plenty of brands that this would be better than in that kind of quality sense and makes you feel like you have a premium knife. Whereas the Ozark knife gives you a lot of features and bang for buck, and you would be less bothered if you lost this or already got damaged. Not to say that $30 is a lot of money, but $10 is even less. So definitely, I think as a combo between the both of them, they are just great together, and currently right now are probably the two most popular knives that you can buy right now. This is very popular. Like I said, for the features and what you get for the money, a lot of people love this. This is popular because of it's one of the best quality knives for the price. So they both, like I said, tackle two different elements, but they both bring something to the table. They are very popular right now. I definitely recommend them. I am going to enjoy this new venture into using both of them as an EDC carry. EDC carry, that's like saying EDC carry. But nonetheless, as always, you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.